All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We've got Pablo Otaola here. Did I pronounce that right?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And he is a good friend of mine from Young Life here in Denver. And then we also have mutual connections out in the Chicago area as well. So it's kind of fun that worlds collide. And Pablo has done some pretty cool things with Young Life since he moved here a few years ago. And so I thought he would be really fun to talk to, just to learn a little bit, a few tips and tricks of what he's done to grow just brand awareness for Young Life and help people in his community learn more about this organization and what that's done for his local ministry. So Pablo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what Young Life is all about?
Sure. 35. I'm from Argentina. Immigrated into the country in California, went to school there, even college as well. Have a lovely wife, Anna, with two young kids. And I started Young Life about 8 years ago, actually 8 years ago, almost to the day. And before then, before then, in college, I had a religious studies major. And I ended up doing almost a full major in computer science, which turned into web design after college and online sales and that kind of stuff. So, anything else, Valerie, that you want me to mention?
So when did you move to Denver? That was, what, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, that was 2013 in October. So
okay.
Almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
Okay. Awesome. And you've done a lot to build up Young Life. Why don't you tell me, just give us like a very broad overview. So if anyone's watching that doesn't know what Young Life is, they can kind of get an idea of what it is. And then maybe explain some of the basic roles that you've had within Young Life since you've been on staff.
Yeah. So Young Life is a 75-year-old Christian organization. Started in 1941, and now we have over 4,000 staff in over 100 countries, and in every major city in the U.S. Started as mostly a suburban nonprofit, suburban ministry, and in the late 60s, even more so in the 70s, went into the urban context and then international about the same time. It focuses on mentoring youth through relationship. So if you think about just what you might be able to do by inviting a high school kid or a middle school kid into your life for 10 hours a week. So I know that's a lot, but we really want to focus and make sure that that kids don't see us as another teacher, parent, etc., but as a friend, not necessarily a peer, but definitely as a friend. So we do that in different ways. We do that locally. We do that through Young Life camps, adventure camps that we go to, and just continuously invite kids into relationship with us, relationship with God, have conversations about what faith and life in the intersection of those two look like. And then we have some specialty ministries. We have Young Lives, so it's pregnant teens, teen moms. And we have Capernaum, which is the same idea, but with kids with special needs. And now we've gone junior high, high school, and college age, which is really through 30 at some points. But yeah, when I first get a volunteer, I tell them that it would be ideal if they are at their kid's wedding, and vice versa. So
awesome. And what's your current role there in Denver?
Yeah, so I started as an area director in Chicago, came here to start a brand new chapter or area, we say, in Young Life. And so that's an area director role. I'm currently the metro developer for Denver, which includes development. Basically, the two biggest areas is in training and funding.
Okay, awesome. So when I first met you, you did some pretty amazing things within your area, as far as you were brand new to Denver. You didn't know many people. your whole network had been back in Chicago. But within a year, you already had some staff members working for you. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So not only were you fully funded for yourself and your own current budget, but then you added to your budget and you were able to do more with the ministry within a year. I thought that was pretty fast. Do you know what the average is within Young Life?
Not a year. I don't know about the average, but as far as getting staff, but I do know that in suburban context, it's usually 4 to 5 years for an established area, and in the urban context, where there's a lot more poverty, usually takes 9 to 11 years
to be fully funded.
To be established. I think fully funded, you usually get some startup capital, which I did.
Gotcha.
So that really helped. And then since I was previous staff, I did bring in some people from Chicago and friends and family from around the country that were financially supporting us. So
gotcha.
There was a 10% gap that we filled, maybe 15% gap the first year.
Okay, cool. But I remember when you first moved here, it was like all day. It felt like all day, every day. You were like having coffee with pastors and teachers and principals. And tell me a little bit about what was your strategy when you first moved here to kind of get and build a network?
Yeah. So what I learned in Chicago was that Young Life hires a lot of people that want to do work with kids, but not a lot of people that want to run a business. And I focused in for a long time on building a lot of my network with kids, and that was easy. You hang out with kids long enough, and they want to hang out with you, and you do fun stuff, and etc. But the infrastructure that was missing was all the business skills that it took to build a board, build financial projections, a realistic budget, and donor base, and taking care of that. And that takes a lot of time. I mean, most small business owners are spending 80 to 90 hours a week on their business until it stabilizes, and it's losing money in the first 3 years. So I started to understand that. And so when I came here, I told my superiors, I'm not going to hang out with kids for a year. I'm going to just focus on just building my network and a board and finances, and then we'll have a foundation to be around for a while. So what I did is I primarily did 2 things. I got on LinkedIn, and I got on and I went to see, I knew that Westmont College, where I graduated, had a lot of people around here that that come back and live in Colorado, and I know that's the culture of Colorado as well. So I got on my alumni network through my college, and I remember I sent 70 emails in one day.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So I did have a template, that I tweaked for different people, different ages, different genders, and made a few phone calls, but mostly I just try to mass produce as many touches as I could. And then for 4 months between that and LinkedIn, I had at least 15 to 20 meetings per week, at least. Wow. It was ridiculous. And so as I met, I guess with LinkedIn, totally different strategy because it was new people, but I did specific local searches that included primarily the word Young Life. So anybody that in their resume said they had volunteered for Young Life. And then knowing what my board structure needed to be, I started networking with people that would bring in the necessary skills. So I could go and talk to somebody about what they were experienced in, what they were passionate in, and invite them into what it might look like to be on the board. The whole time, of course, grabbing email addresses and phone numbers and putting that in the database to continue the work throughout the year. But yeah, tons and tons of coffee meetings, tons of driving.
So you weren't sleeping because you were so caffeinated from all the coffee. Is that right? Oh my
gosh, yeah. I mean, seriously, I would have 5 Starbucks meetings at the same Starbucks with like 15-minute cushion.
Oh my gosh.
To just write down some notes on what I just on the person I just met with, and just try to be as efficient as I could. And in between all that, just the admin side of being in a team and being in with supervisors, etc. So
awesome. Well, I just was really, gosh, now there's an echo.
I don't hear it.
Is that better? Yes, that's better on mine. Okay, awesome. Oh, good. Aimee heard it too. So, Pablo, I don't know if I forgot to mention this, but on the right side, there's this whole chat window.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of people live, they'll be chatting. And my friend Aimee here is chatting. And if she's up for it, I'd love to have her pop on later. She actually grew up in Mexico City.
Oh, great.
And she does social media that's just targeted towards Latinos. So we'll maybe save some time. I'd love to hear about some of your perspective on that side of things too. So social media has also been a big deal for you with Southwest Denver's Young Life. What was your strategy with getting that going, and what you're doing with that currently?
Well, I knew that at the time, and it's changed a little bit, but not that much. At the time, the type of people that were now staying on are usually women that are 35 and over, type of people, and in that kind of age ranges, was heavily using Facebook, etc. And if I was going to increase my network, then I needed to create a Facebook page. Well, before that, I needed to create our website, which was the catch-all to everything. So I did that, and after doing that with Facebook.
And you build websites, right?
I do build websites, yeah. Yeah, just for fun on my spare time.
in your spare time, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a passion of mine. Like I said, I have a coding background, and my grandpa was a professional artist. So I grew up painting, and I have design for eye, and I can design a little bit, not like you. So I like to outsource to Valerie and others when I can. But yeah, I love to do that. So if I could use that in my nonprofit, low budget ministry, then I'm going to do that. So I built the website, Facebook. I built the page quickly and branded it. And then I just started using some of our small budget to target people that are local college graduates, certain age, etc., so that we can get more and more likes. I got to 300, so I can pretty quickly, so I can get the specific name and some of the perks that Facebook gives you when you have 300 likes on a page. Mm-hmm. And then one of my, from the get-go in the first few months, one of my targets was a media marketing specialist. So we have one on the board, and then I could delegate. I could delegate all that, and we went from, I think we had about 1,000 when we were with him, maybe just under 1,000 likes, and he took it to over 3,000 in like a week through everything he does. So I know enough to be a little dangerous, but I also do know that when I can invite somebody in to volunteer in their passion and expertise, they'll be able to take it farther than I can. So it was a two-pronged approach with Facebook. But we do have a LinkedIn page for Southwest Denver Young Life. We have Twitter, Google Plus, and maybe one or two others that, because I'm not the Southwest Denver director anymore, I haven't used
on from that. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. So are there any other tools that you used? You said you were building an email list. What have you used for getting your emails out? Are you paying for something, or are you using any sort of free tools?
Both. I mean, MailChimp gives you, I think, up to 1,500 users for free. And I think you can send 2 emails a month for free, something like that. But it's a great free tool that you can start off. And at some point when you build your capacity and users, you can pay. So I'm only paying $20 a month right now, and it's huge. We've used MailChimp on our WordPress website. We've used it on Facebook, and I upload every single person's email that I get. We have specific email blasts that we send, like to new people. You've been added. Feel free to unsubscribe. Here's the kind of things you'll get. And then we've done very targeted campaigns to different people and for different things, because every user has an option of doing 8 different things that they want to do, and they could click on each of those boxes so we know what our different email lists are. But that's a great tool for external communication. And you did ask like what tools we use to communicate with staff, volunteers, and donors. So that's a major donor one. A really, really good unknown one for internal communications tasks, for events. Mostly internal communication is GQs. Have you heard of that, Valerie?
I actually haven't.
GQs fully integrates with Gmail, with Google, GQUEUES.com. It's kind of hard to spell, but it's G and then Qs. And it's a very good task list that can that you can give a task to other people on your team. It's when you put how long it takes and when it's due, it actually plops into your calendar, to your Google Calendar.
Oh, cool.
And then you can move it around, and it's just made our team extremely efficient, and we're still learning, but extremely efficient into getting things done.
That's awesome.
That was huge for us.
I bet. I gotta go check it out.
Oh yeah, and it's only $25 a year. So it has a really good, easy to use Android and iOS app where you can quickly and easily, like I used to email myself, do this, do that, and
I do that all the time.
Yeah, and so then I get a little anxious when I look at my email and I have 100 emails to respond, but 30 of them are
all from you.
To-do list without a due date, But with this, with GQs, you can actually just use your app, speak into it, and set the due date, and then give it to other people or do it yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. Check out the videos before you buy it.
Okay.
And they'll tell you exactly what they do. So that's an amazing tool. And then usually use Hootsuite. And shoot, I forgot the other one that does the same thing.
Weren't you using Buffer back in the day?
Yeah. So Buffer app, I think, is what it is, and Hootsuite. So we use both of those.
Awesome. Well, I feel like you're really well connected into these like digital tools. So I feel like there's a lot of area directors that are not working probably as efficiently as they could be because they're not using these types of tools. So thanks so much for sharing those.
Yeah.
Have you ever used Trello at all for any project management?
I haven't. I looked at Trello, but decided to go on to GQs instead.
Yeah.
Because for what we needed, GQs works better.
Yeah.
But we're using Trello for the social enterprise T-shirt company that we have.
Oh, cool.
Because it's easier for high school students to. So GQs is not as visually pleasing.
Yeah.
But Trello is a grab, click, and move. Kind of thing, and it's more visually pleasing. The colors are livelier, etc. So it's easier to use for high school students, which is amazing. And we're looking to use that for some different project management. So I have used it. I just started, so I can't tell you all the functionality, but it's going to work really well for our T-shirt company.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, our small group that we're a part of, we started doing a Trello board for like all the different service project ideas that we want to do.
Awesome.
And like different book studies that we wanted to do. So it was kind of an easy way for us all to just throw all of our ideas together. So, and I love it because it's got so much functionality in the free version. It's just been a really cool tool for us. So
yeah,
cool. Any other like favorite apps or tools that you use that would be helpful for others that are in the nonprofit or just small budget type of situation?
Yeah, if you're a nonprofit and you want to have an amazing, probably top 3 in the country, free, but also free client management system, a CRM,
Mm-hmm.
You can get, if you have a 501c3 nonprofit, you can get Salesforce for nonprofits for free. You have to go through a little bit of a process,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one of the top for-profit tools and one of the top nonprofit tools, and you can actually get it for free.
I had no idea you could get that for free. That's awesome.
Yeah, for nonprofit. So we are experimenting now because you have to fully customize it yourself or hire somebody to do it for you. But either it's going to be cheaper than any other CRM that you might have to pay for.
Yeah.
And it does everything. And it's open-ended so that you can have MailChimp automatically populate your donor list and integrate with that. You can create customized apps within the system so that it gives you the right reports that you want. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend you looking into that. However,
awesome.
you have to plan a lot of time to implement it and teach everybody else in your team and staff to use it. But I mean, at the donor level, it's one of the best management tools that I've seen. On the practical, you're a tutoring service and you just need to take attendance. You can actually get an app and just do it on your phone, just like that. So for club, it's going to be super easy for Young Life Club, one of the programs we do. Super easy to just look around or have a table that everybody has to go through and what's your name? Click, you're in. What's your name? It's super fast.
Wow.
It's a pretty efficient machine.
That's awesome. That's cool. Any other little tips or tricks that you want to share with us? It's okay if you don't have any that come to mind.
Yeah, I wrote some notes. Not as far. I wrote some stuff on contextualizing events for target audiences, but not on social media or any online tools or anything like that.
Okay. What about mobile apps? Do you have any favorite mobile apps that keep you sane?
GQs has been my go-to. It's where I take my notes, how I process my life, literally. So anything I have to do, I put it in there on my phone. I get to the computer and I set my schedule, specific times for me to organize everything, especially at the beginning of the week. So
yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Hey, so Aimee, do you want to jump on at all? Maybe we can talk a little bit about the Latino culture. Aimee was just telling us she just recently changed the direction of her business to be just focused towards Latinos. And she's bicultural and bilingual. And so I think you guys would probably appreciate meeting each other. So let's see if she's going to pop on at all. I'm really hoping to learn a little bit about her. She was giving some crazy stats the other day, and you probably know some of these as well, just about the Latino population and the buying power and all of that. So, hey, Aimee.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, we just got home from the dog park.
That's okay.
I had to go wear out the dogs this morning.
Yeah, I need to do that here when we get off this call. My dogs were psycho this morning. So Aimee, meet Pablo. Pablo, this is my friend Aimee.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Aimee, why don't you share a few of the stats that you were sharing about the Latino population from the other day?
Oh my gosh. So Colorado has a 30, what did I say? It was 32% Latino Hispanic population, which puts us at number 8 in the country. And by 2017, they're predicting that the Latino Hispanic buying power is going to be at $1.7 trillion. And that's with a T, by the way. And we are number 2 in the world for the number of Spanish-speaking people who live in our communities in the United States. And in terms of the most popular languages right now, Mandarin is number 1, Spanish is number 2, and English is number 3. So, I mean, just some of those numbers to me are astounding. I think they're huge. And so untapped. I mean, that whole market, that whole Hispanic Latino market is virtually untapped. So it's big. We have, I think, like 55 million Latino Hispanics in the United States right now. So, and I think that was according to the last census. So it's probably more now.
Yeah. 12 million.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. So into the census, you add the undocumented that is also part of the spending power. That's 12 million.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pablo, what are some of the struggles you've seen, or just like some of the cultural differences maybe with how you're approaching ministry and just reaching out to people within kind of, because your area in Southwest Denver is pretty Latino focused, correct?
91%. Yeah,
okay.
Latino community.
So what kind of shifts do you take with how you're approaching communication with people and just the way you operate?
Yeah, I think just understanding that in the U.S., the world, the business world, and just the world as English primary language, first culture, Western, individualistic, not in the negative term, just a culture that really focuses on innovation and personal like improvement, etc., is different than collectivist, tribal, community culture. My identity is tied literally into my family's identity. People that don't want to move across 3 countries to go get a new job, they'll stay local because family is more important than job. Like it's just very different. So if we use an approach, a business approach that's created for primarily English speakers, etc., to this different culture, it's gonna not work as well. Sometimes it will be offensive. Sometimes you won't know why it didn't work unless you understand both worlds and can interact in both. So coming in with historically, I mean, this amazing ministry of Young Life that reaches 2 million kids. But historically, for the first 35 years, it was only middle upper class, white suburban English speakers. So it works really well, obviously. But how do you contextualize that to a Latino community, an urban community, a poor community? Understanding, like Aimee said in Chicago, the Magnificent Mile downtown was the number 1 revenue generator in the city. The number 2 was Pilsen, which is high undocumented, high Latino community, and it was the number 2 community with the number 2 revenue in the whole city. And I started thinking like, okay, on the fundraising side, like, what's going on here? Because these people want to give, they love their community, etc. So my approach had to be collectivist, partnership based, had to be ground up, not coming in with the answer, but coming in with a lot of questions like, what are you doing? And how can I come alongside you versus me creating something and inviting you into it? Because that's honoring what the locals, and since space is so valued as I am local means means just as much in suburban or just white and Latino, but in the Latino like hierarchy of need and desire, it's higher than I would say in a white middle class culture that, you know, goes off to college and then goes to where the job is, you know. So Latino communities that are poor will go to a community college, will go to a college that's local, help out the family by having a job meanwhile. So understanding that means that everything I do, program, kid work, adults, everything has to be from that perspective. And so yeah, I came in and I networked with local pastors, local leaders, and said, hey, what are you guys doing? And how can I just create something that plugs in the gap, not that reinvents the wheel that you're already doing? And that's why, you know, in 3 months of me being here, even though I said, like I said earlier, I am not going to do any kid work. In 3 months, we had 55 kids. In 6 months, we had 215 kids in our program. And that was not because I did anything other than network and want to partner with people and resource what's already happening. So usually I think in business culture, we're like, I need to get a chunk of this market share, rather than saying, let me come alongside your market share and build off of that, which people are more willing to be like, oh, you want to help me do a better job of what I'm doing? That's like unheard of in business.
Yeah.
Even though it works in business as well. So, for example, the t-shirt company that we started, we had planned to just have somebody print our shirts and then at some point develop, buy our own stuff. But instead, we formed a really strong partnership with a printing company and said, we can bring you this much business. And now we're a very low overhead, or zero overhead, really, just about, and making them money, making us money, and that profit's going to our ministry. So it's a collectivist tribal community approach that, even like as you asked me, like some tips, it's not really tips, it's you gotta live it. It's like what you breathe, your filter to life.
I appreciate you saying the collectivism perspective, because I've never really thought about it that way. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I think to piggyback on what Pablo just said is, in the Latino community, their family always comes first.
Yes.
Above and beyond everything else.
Yes.
Family first. And the other thing is, as a brand or as a business, if you come in and say, well, I have this and it's going to fix your problems, they're going to immediately shut down and say, well, how do you even know what my problems are? At what point did you ask me, what do I need? So as a brand or as a company, if you go in with the approach of, what can we do to help? What can we do to make your life better and your family's life better? Then you're going to get a much more positive response, and you're going to create a community with your brand and their culture, because they're going to feel like you really do care. And that's really, really important to them. Where here in Americans, I think, are more about I need to solve this. Target has exactly what I need, and they just run and get it. Yeah. And they don't form those deep relationships with brands or stores. The Latino community does. And they're very loyal. Very, very loyal.
Yeah.
So,
Aimee, do you have any other insights that you're seeing as you're starting to work with Latino business owners?
I think that one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of them is understanding the culture and how to communicate with that culture. That, you can't, as I was just saying, you can't just come in and say, I have the solution to all of your problems. But you have to come in and earn their trust and communicate with them in a way, or learn to communicate with them in a way that they don't find intrusive and offensive.
Yeah.
They're, Latino Hispanic communities are very tight-knit communities. And so it's easy to step on their toes when you don't understand how they communicate. And so that's a difficult skill to learn, because we all live together under, in the same communities, and we go to the same places and do a lot of the same things. But for Americans, it's a difficult skill to master.
It's one of the things. So I'm married to a white middle-class woman, and we've had to learn a lot of those skills by saying, like, why are we misunderstanding each other? We love each other. We want the best for each other, but we're like, and it's not just man-woman. That's another dynamic too. But and one of the things we figured out, and and I mean, this includes a lot of reading on my part because it applies to my job, etc. But direct versus indirect communication.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're talking about a little bit, Aimee.
Totally.
You know, if you're direct with a Latino that communicates indirectly, you probably will never see them again. They will not directly communicate you how you have insulted them. You'll just never see them again. So, for example, with Aimee, I just met you. I know you, Valerie, way better. So instead of calling Aimee after this and saying, "Hey, Aimee, when you said that, you know, I was a little offended." You haven't said anything. This is an example. Instead of saying that, yeah, no, not at all. But instead of like communicating directly with Aimee, I would say, "Valerie, so Aimee kind of offended me when she said this. Could you talk to her about this? I don't know." And and that's even too direct. Sometimes I would just say, Valerie, Aimee kind of offended me. Yeah. And you would culturally understand the assumption there is that you're going to talk to Aimee and you're going to fix the problem, because we Latinos care so much about relationship and keeping it going that I don't want to say something directly to Aimee that would hinder our potential relationship. So that completely goes against like the way my wife and America's like, you got to be direct and communicate. Otherwise you're triangulating, which is unhealthy. And triangulating speaks to efficiency. It doesn't speak to tribal, relational, community-based culture. So it's not bad or good. They're both equally good within their context. And in business, you got to know how to communicate with the people that you're communicating with.
Yes.
I'm learning so much, because I feel like what you just described to me feels passive aggressive.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Why don't you just come talk to me? Like, I'm not gonna yell back. I'm not gonna be upset. I'm not gonna I might be hurt a little bit, but I'd rather that than us feel fake. Yeah. And I don't know if that's a millennial thing or if that's a white American thing.
No, it's a cultural American thing. If you said that to any Latino, they would be like, "What are you talking about? Like, that's offensive that you you want people to hit you on the forehead." This is how it feels. You want people to hit you on the forehead with you don't know me, like Aimee was saying, who are you? Like, you should have talked to Valerie because she knows me. She can talk to me about this hard stuff. You can't. So I've been doing that with my parents, and our family, and understanding that it's crucial, and understanding that it's not good or bad. It is good and good. It's just different.
Yeah.
You just have to understand that. But that's why Latinos are so dang loyal, because when you become a customer, you're an extended family member. I have 150 cousins that are not cousins, but blood. They're cousins relationally.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Well, and I'll give you another example. My best friend, she and I have been friends for, I can't even remember how long. But from the time that we started hanging out in our early teens, I've called her parents aunt and uncle. And they will always be an aunt and uncle to me.
Yeah.
And she now lives in Miami. I live in Colorado. They live in Mexico City. They're still my aunt and uncle. And they always, and her sisters are my sisters. And because the relationships develop over time and build such deep roots that you can't undo them. And again, that's a cultural thing. We're here, people are easy to say, so-and-so made me upset or made me angry or offended me, or I'm done. I'll never speak to that person again. In a Latino culture, you don't do that. You work through it. If you're family or you're close like family, you work it out. And you move past it and you find a way to get past it.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about business, unless you create that loyalty first, they will never be loyal to your brand.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Aimee, have you experienced that butting of heads of cultures? Because your husband didn't grow up in Mexico, did he?
No, I'm married to a white guy. A white guy from Washington. Um, when I first moved to the U.S., I was 18, and yes, there's a lot of me that maintains that Latin loyalty and that Latin mentality. And there's a lot of me that is Americanized as well. And the thing about it is, what I find interesting is I've learned how to combine those things so that I'm able to relate to both cultures without stepping on toes or, offending. So I've learned how to, work around like the Mexicans do, and I've learned how to be direct like the Americans are. Which I think gives me sort of a leg up with helping other brands understand what to do and how to do it and not alienate the other culture, whichever one we happen to be working with at the time. And I think that it's a very delicate balance, especially with the Latinos. It's a very delicate balance. So you can't just come in and say, okay, I'm going to fix it all. Because no, you're not.
Yeah.
That was a lot you just said, because they will never speak to you again.
I just put a link. I think I put a link. I thought I did. Huh? Okay.
You gave a smiley face.
Yeah, lots of smiley faces.
Lots of smiley faces, Pablo.
Weird.
Love those.
All right. Let's see. Let's try it again. Okay. Well, the link is I'm literally copy pasting here, but culturalq.com. And what business is, a for-profit world, and the nonprofit world is always a couple decades behind. But the for-profit world, at least a couple decades behind. They're understanding that there's a cultural intelligence spectrum, and the more culturally intelligent the people in the organization is, the more culturally intelligent the organization is, the more profit it brings. So whether you're fundraising locally and non-locally, or you have a target market and target geography for your business, if you increase your cultural intelligence, then you will increase profit because you will connect with your constituents even better. And we could talk about culture, and that could be convoluted. Just talk about gender, which is different cultures. Men that run businesses, if they don't have women that have say-so and power in those businesses, then they're going to attract less women than otherwise, and vice versa. So you need to be able to think like the people, not assume what they're thinking and be totally off, because you are not them.
That's exactly right, and that's a really, really good point, Pablo. You got to learn how to think like them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally true.
Cool. Well, Pablo, I don't want to keep you too long because I only blocked a certain amount of time for you, so I want to be respectful of your time. Do you have any parting thoughts you want to leave us with on the recording?
I'll just reiterate or summarize a little bit. I would say that two huge areas that nonprofit world is greatly behind in, or maybe even three, is cultural intelligence, technology and social media, and I forget the third one that I was going to say. But those two are huge. Oh yeah, and business skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the nonprofit world cringes a little bit to think about ministry in the faith-based world, or just nonprofit world. They want to lead with heart first, and not business. And that's a misunderstanding of business is actually taking care of heart. So if I speak in just the Christian world, God set up systems and structure for 6 days in order to love on the seventh day, Adam and Eve, bringing them into that. So business is ministry, period, to me. And we can't make it non-relational and non-heart, whether you're doing for-profit business or non-profit business. So I think nonprofit world really needs to learn where the for-profit world is thinking and doing, and how they're leading.
I like that analogy, the creation analogy. I think that works really well, because you have to have those systems in place to be able to be effective and also not to burn out. I know a lot of nonprofit folks that are on the verge of burnout. So
yeah.
Well, cool. Aimee, do you have any parting thoughts that you'd like to leave us with today?
No, I think that Pablo really hit most of it on the head, but I think really putting an emphasis on cultural intelligence, and I think that's key. That's so key in both worlds, for profit and nonprofit.
Yeah, agree.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Aimee, for popping on, and thank you, Pablo, for jumping on this blab today, this live stream, and talking to us a little bit about kind of what your approach was with building up your ministry and your nonprofit in a brand new city, and just sharing some of those tips and tricks. I know I learned a few things, and I'm sure other Young Life folks or other nonprofit folks will learn some stuff as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to